following clip from our Nation Sports Show is taken from our June 6th episode featuring HiJacker Mike, along with some special guests, giving their honest thoughts on the Oakland Athletics owner, John Fisher, and team president, Dave Kaval. And right now, I know we're a little bit ahead on schedule, but that's the way it rolls sometimes. You know, we're live, when we've already got two out of the two people already on here talking about this. And for those that don't know, Mike knows and Gabe knows. I mean, this has been a huge, huge rallying cry for Oakland A's fans. And if you're living under a rock, I mean, how do you not know this is going on? I mean, the Oakland Athletics fans, this is statistically, this is the worst regular season of any baseball team since before the 1900s. I mean, this is just from a hitting standpoint, from a, pitching standpoint, they can't get nothing done. And we can all, and the clear blame is on their greedy ass owner.
Yes, John Fisher.
John Fisher is the reason why this team is where they are. I mean, you guys were there when this team, you guys have been fans all your lives, when this team was actually making runs and going to the World Series, going to the championship divisional, rounds and stuff. And in the wild card rounds, especially in the last 6 seasons, I mean, they had over 90 wins in 18 and 19. Had some of the best baseball teams, and they couldn't get it done. The Cards just didn't fall their way because that dreaded wild card round came up, and they had, that one game, and they lost it. And all of that success throughout the regular years with all their star players blew up in their faces because, again, that's how the cards in sports fall. And just, I mean, it is just unbelievable how since 2018, only one player that was on that team, on those two great teams, is left with the team. All the other players gone to different teams. It's amazing how money can change the way you run an organization. You would think that John Fisher and his management team would actually
Dave
use
Kaval.
and Kaval, thank you, would
Dave
use their
Kaval.
common sense in keeping the core players, or try to keep the majority of their core players with this baseball team, because they were making great runs and great cracks at getting further into the postseason. But, I don't want to spend no more money than I have to. Dude, you're a freaking billionaire for a reason. You have deep pockets. You can afford to sign these guys to max contracts. I mean, hell, look at the Yankees. Look at the Dodgers, for God's sakes. I could go down to Philadelphia. I mean, giving what's his face? Harper that big contract. I mean,
Bryce Harper.
Yes. Mike Trout, yes. Giving all of these guys these maximum contracts. You have all of this money.
Yeah. Shohei Ohtani is on deck, man. Shohei Ohtani is going to be the next big contract to come up here next year.
Yep. I believe it.
I believe it too. I mean, Ohtani is just an incredible baseball player. I mean, just he can pitch and he can hit. I mean, just a lethal player. And Oakland wants a guy like that, because if they can get him, he could be the next big building block to maybe make some moves for the Oakland A's. But no, Fisher has to be a greedy asshole, with his money and not spending it, because I'm sorry. I'm speaking facts here for, and I speak for all of you guys here that down there in the Bay Area. What are you going to do with that money when you pass away? Not a damn thing.
Exactly.
You can't take it with you. Spend it while you can, Fisher. Now, I'm going to turn it over to these guys, because they've been in the trenches, down there in Oakland, California, being longtime A's fans and going to these games and being longtime supporters. And they see through the bullshit that Fisher and Dave are doing right now with this Oakland A's team. And they want to move this team to Las Vegas, the second team to move out of California, going to Sin City. And who would have thought that right now it is blowing up in their face, and we absolutely love it. Because Mike, you have been posting about this on Twitter, being one of the leaders on Twitter of using all of these hashtags with John Fisher's name. Hashtag Oakland, hashtag, rooted in Oakland, and all of these different hashtags. You've been in the trenches along with Gabe, down there. And I'll start with you, Mike. So when the moment that this news came down that they wanted to sell the team to Las Vegas, like, what started this group of Oakland fans coming together as brothers and sisters, being fans of this team for years upon years, throughout the good times and the bad times? What started this trend of, because you've been getting some very good numbers on Twitter, bro. So what started this?
This started all on April 20th. Things haven't always been comfortable here over the last, 5-6 years, Gabe? Ever since Rooted in Oakland slogan had came out.
Yeah.
We were trusting Dave Kaval. He had an open office hours where we would be able to go sit with him for 30 minutes to an hour in his office and talk Howard Terminal, which is the ballpark that is only 87 million away from what Fisher has requested us. We have $380 million already sitting there. We're only 85 to 87 million, maybe 88. I don't know the exact number away, but that's peanuts compared to what he was trying to do in Vegas. He's leaving all this money on the table. So when all this stuff started, everybody was feeling good. They did really good plans for Howard Terminal. Everything was looking really good. But then all of a sudden, COVID hit. Fisher starts losing money in the stocks. Things start to go bad. We don't see it. All of a sudden, fast forward to April 20th, 2023. The A's all of a sudden don't make an announcement, but things are leaking out from Las Vegas media that they have agreed to a binding agreement for land with the Red Rock Resort. I think so. The Red Rock Resort in Las Vegas, the first of the second location they're currently sitting on with Tropicana. And everybody was like, oh, okay, it's Las Vegas, whatever. We kind of just sat on it. Nobody really made a big deal about it in the first couple of hours. Then I think it was about 11:30. It was about 11:30 p.m. The A's came out with a statement saying they were in a binding agreement to purchase land in Las Vegas. And I think that's when shit hit the fan, and people in athletics Twitter just went nuts. Gabe, how did you feel when you saw that news and heard about it? Did you hear about it that night? Did you hear about it the next day? What was your first reaction and initial thought when you heard that yourself?
So my first initial thoughts when I first heard it, I found out the night of, because I actually was staying up and playing video games with a friend of mine. And we were just in a group chat party chat, kind of similar to how this is on PlayStation. And literally we're just chilling for a minute, stop playing games. And next thing you know, I see a tweet, and I'm like, oh shoot. And I was like, and the thing is, like, first thing that came to instinct was, I need to see what Casey says. I need to see what any reliable source says, because I just see a tweet come out and this looks pretty bad. It sounds pretty bad, but like, is there any truth to it? And so that's my first instinct. So like for me, it was just like, I'll wait until Casey says something. But then once things started to progress, and I started seeing people like say things, and they're like, oh, well, this is pretty much over. And so like, it started to slowly kind of sink in throughout the night of like, dang, like that's it, huh? Like, like they pretty much said they're done. And the more and more you kind of find out, it just, that night, it was just like all over the place for me. So like, it was going pretty bad for me. I kind of had a hard time sleeping that night. And the next day, I was really upset about it, as much as anybody else would be. And, just seeing all my friends and family just kind of like tweeting out, just like how their frustrations and how they were upset with it. It was just like mind-boggling to me that we've come this far, just like how you said, you know, like 80 to 90 million reportedly, you know, left in Oakland, and now this is it. Like, you just up in smoke now. You guys are just gonna walk away from whatever we
Yeah.
got, and you're gonna start over. And it just like it didn't sit. It couldn't sit right with me. Like, you guys were this close, and you guys are gonna walk away. And I just started thinking the memories like that I've had with people, and like how this connects me with so many people. Like, you know, and it just I couldn't just it didn't sit right with me, and I had a hard time that day.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, man, because I at first kind of shrugged it off when I first heard the announcement. It was probably about 9:30 p.m. around that time, and it's like, okay, here we go again. But just a week or two earlier, Mayor Shangtao of Oakland came out and said, hey, the talks are going good. We're in a little bit of a stall, but we're headed in the right direction. Everything is looking good. But then all of a sudden that night, that Wednesday night, this came out, and then it just started catching fire around 11:30 when I went to bed. And I was like, you know what? I can't lose any sleep. I got to get up at 5:30 in the morning the next day to go to work. So I need to hit the bed. This news will be here when I get up in the morning. But then when I get up in the morning, I must have had 200 alerts or more on Twitter, a couple of texts on my phone from friends saying, hey, dude, the A's are damn near good as gone. They signed a binding agreement. Even though binding, you got to read the term about it. It doesn't mean anything until a shovel is in the ground. You know what I mean? Binding. It doesn't mean anything until that shovel is in the ground. But it still makes you feel a type of way because they want to leave. I want to know why. Why did Kaval sit there and lie to us? Fisher isn't going to sit and talk with us, but why is Kaval going to sit and lie to us when when hundreds of people sat in his office listening to him say, yes, this is what we want to do. We want to buy the Coliseum land. We want to turn it into a Legends playground for kids to play at, tear down the stadium, leave the field so little leaguers can go play on it. We want to have a big park. We want to have businesses. We want to have homes. Then we want to go 10 miles down the freeway to Jack London Square, Jack London Square / Howard, Port of Oakland for Howard Terminal. Oh, great. You want a waterfront park? Okay. People laughed at us because they're saying you're trying to be like the Giants, but look at, there's so many teams that have a baseball stadium or a football stadium on some type of waterfront. No big deal. Completely understand. Yeah, you completely understand. It's a nice touch. Dude, one of the biggest things Dave told me in my meeting I had with him back in 2019 was they were going to have season ticket holders of past, present, and future bricks on the wall and on the ground in the area of Howard Terminal with your name and year you started to present for season ticket holders and lifelong fans. You were going to be able to buy a square and have your name cemented in history at this new stadium. Did you hear about that, Gabe?
I did not actually. You know, that's actually something that I actually was hoping to hear from that. I mean, I never really took advantage of talking to Dave like in the open offices or anything like that, but that
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff that I've always wanted in a ballpark, and I've seen it when I've gone to when I've went to Petco Park in San Diego. I've seen them how they have that on the floor, and I mean, I know it's not a ballpark, but you know, Disneyland, they have those tiles on the floor, and just you be able to buy those. I always thought that was a pretty cool idea, and I mean, to hear that that's one of the ideas that he presented to you, like that's pretty cool to me.
Dude, even their AAA team, the Las Vegas Aviators, have it there at their stadium. And it's
Wow.
like, you know, this is cool, you know, to have a hallway, a walkway, or somewhere along the stadium where you can go and you can see people from the past, you could see people currently with their name at the stadium showing that, hey, we are rooted in Oakland. This is our team. This is our life. That's what the A's are, dude. If the A's leave, hundreds of jobs will be lost. I understand they say hundreds of jobs will be created in Vegas, but to me, Las Vegas is one of the cities that I don't think jobs are hard to come by. You got the casinos, you got the restaurants, you got all the entertainment and
the
shows.
concert venues and stuff, because there's multiple concert venues. There's a lot of stuff to do in Vegas. I mean, Vegas
weren't
is
you just
not
out there for a
suffering
concert
for
not too
money.
long ago? Weren't you just out there for a concert?
I was in Vegas last year. I mean, you know, last year at the football stadium for Metallica on
Yes.
the 25th of February last year, and then Billy Joel on the 26th. And then on Thursday when I went there, we were just going to fly in on that day just to get there and experience the scene of Vegas and stuff for the first time. And I was checking Ticketmaster. I was like, oh, Dirty Honey and Mammoth WVH are on the West Coast. Let's see if they're going to be in Vegas. And sure enough, on that Thursday when we were there, they were at the House of Blues. So we said, why the hell not? We're going to go there as well. So being in Vegas and knowing that they have all of these venues inside, like a House of Blues, the stadium, you know, for where the Raiders play, used for concerts. I mean, Taylor Swift was just in Vegas back in I believe it was March. Yes, it was March, the 24th and the 25th, I believe those were the dates. But she was there, sold out. Vegas is not suffering for stadium shows, arena shows, or even like the smaller clubs, because there's so many small clubs to go to in Vegas. You know, I mean, there's the Strat, there's, you know, all these different places. I mean, there's the casino places in Vegas. I mean, there's so much to do in Vegas. So before you continue, I mean, again, just to add to that, Vegas is not suffering for money. I mean, oh, and you're absolutely right, because God forbid we want to move the team to Vegas because it'll bring more to Vegas. Vegas doesn't need that crap. California could use, you know, more jobs, even though they're a big state. But I mean, it's all greedy. It's all about money, and that's all. Kaval, and that's all Fisher care for is about money.
Well, that's the thing. You look at it, there's hundreds of people at this Coliseum with their jobs. And Gabe, you know, people have been there for 20 and 30 and 40 plus years working there. These people are going to lose their jobs. Some people do this for fun. Some people don't need the money. Some people do. This is a side hustle. 81 games a year. That's 81 days where someone can come in and work 4, 5, 6 hours shift and make their money. It just doesn't make sense for things like that to happen.
No,
there we go.
Hot dog.
Look, we got Hal, the hot dog guy.
Hey, doggy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Hal. He was one of the vendors for the Oakland Athletics before they decided to bring him back. But this dude right here would have his section he was in selling hot dogs going, and he just wasn't the dude that would sell you the hot dogs. He had all the fixings on his cart with him as he was rolling through. And Hal, you know what one of my favorite phrases was from you, my buddy?
What was that?
Let's catch up.
Oh, baby, yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
That's right. When we were down, that was the only acceptable time for me to be flashing catch up. You know, otherwise that's kind of a kid's condiment. But you know, that's how we got to catch up, baby.
Yeah, and Steven, this dude here, Hal, he even had his own baseball card at the Oakland Coliseum as well.
Hell yeah, bro! That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
I got one.
Yeah,
I got one.
Hal, that's awesome.
yeah.
What you got, Gabe?
I got his card.
Oh yeah,
Nice, Gabe.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, my parents, they like gave away baseball cards of themselves at their wedding, I guess. You know, like, I mean, I wasn't there, but you know, it had like, you know, it had them on it, and in the back, you know, where there'd be statistics, it'd be like, you know, oh, Dale and Diane enjoy long walks on the beach and snuggling. So I was like, well, I got to do that for me. And then, you know, you just realize, I think the knowledge of standing up in front of everybody, there it is. Hey, that's the second edition right there. I love that one. That's a good one. I just realized, well, if I just bring cards with me and I sign them, because, you know, I could get anybody to chant anything at the game, right? I'd get them to chant about hot dogs. It's like, well, I can get people to do, you know, if somebody is taking, you know, charge and is in a uniform, people do a lot of stuff for you. So I was just like, I'm going to just start signing these cards and handing them to little children until people think that I'm actually famous. And then, yeah, you just trick them into thinking that you're worth an autograph.
That's awesome.
And we're awesome.
The crowd you commanded, though, dude, when you were out there selling them, people migrated to you, dude. You would have to go restock several times more than any other vendor. And what was the other gentleman that had the cart he would carry with him? What was that dude's name?
That was Jim.
Jim. Okay, yeah. You guys were great, dude. You guys would be out there. You
Yeah.
guys were the only two with the full cart creating hot dogs with the full fixings on it versus having to get up and go to the concession stands and get things at the Coliseum. Now, if I may ask, what was the reason why the A's decided not to want to bring you back?
So they would have let me keep doing what I was doing, but I
Okay.
I was in grad school at Berkeley and I graduated.
Got you.
And I told them, hey, like, all the fans seem to really want to keep this going. This was, like in October, like long before they'd announced that they were going to try and move to Vegas. But, I just said, hire me as an economist. So I got a PhD in resource economics. So I said, hire me as an economist and I'll, vend for free. I'll keep doing this. And they were like, the words they used was, you can't just come to a company and ask them to create a job for you. And I'm like, you know what? All right, man. That's good. I'm going to go get myself a big boy job. So I won't be around next year.
Gotcha.
I think it was just, as we've just viewed like this jerking, nonsensical attempt to get a stadium in Las Vegas, they're just not put together well. Like that office is just not put together well. And
No.
I think it's just like, I couldn't imagine actually working for them. I mean, it must be just the hell.
Look at the lies Kaval spit to us. I sat with him for an hour in his office hours back in 2019. And he showed me the chair from the old Cleveland Stadium in the corner of his office. And I was like, I hope you turn the other way when we get Howard Terminal, because the last day I'm in the Coliseum, I'm taking a double section of seats with me. And he turned and said, hey, I got mine. You go ahead and get yours. Cool. Not a problem. Now we fast forward to 2023, like me and Gabe were speaking about before you came on, April 20th, 2023. We got the news kind of in the middle of the night. I don't know if you got to see the news that popped up from a outlet in Vegas, and then a couple hours later, the A's came out with a statement saying, "Yes, we've came into a binding agreement for land in Las Vegas. I think at the Red Rock Resort." Did you catch it that night it came out, or were you? Or did you catch it the next day?
I was on the East Coast, so it was 3 hours later for me, but I caught it. I was about to go to sleep, and I was like, doing the worst thing possible for about to fall asleep, which was checking Twitter. So that'll get you to bed right away. But I saw it, and I was just like a ton of bricks, right? Like, because you were just like, what does that mean? Like, I've never heard of the Nevada Independent. Now I know everybody's byline at the Nevada Independent, let me tell you. But yeah, it was crazy. And then I went on Twitter eventually, and there's those spaces, like when Elon Musk is introducing a new presidential candidate, he does these Twitter spaces. But we did a Twitter space that night, and everybody was crying. And yeah, it
was hard news.
It was
hard news. Yeah,
I was part of that. I didn't speak, but I was crying.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, thanks, Hal.
Yeah, it was tough. I didn't get a chance. I didn't notice it on there. I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah. All right, so let's move forward. June 13th, reverse boycott Tuesday night. We have Pack the Coliseum, hashtag Pack the Coliseum. We have a last dive bar event out in Lot B. Live music, food, games, hashtag Fisher out. We're trying to move them out. The Oakland 68s. $25,000. What is it at now? $27,000 made for the green cell t-shirt?
I think it might be at 33 now.
Holy moly.
Check
no.
this out,
Wow.
Joseph.
That's
Steven.
before that's
Really?
before they've taken some money out for the website. I think that they're going to use some of that money for like tacos and to pay the band for the thing. But yeah,
Oh no,
I think
that's completely
Wow.
fine.
I think
Check this
Oaklandish,
out, Steven. Yeah. No, go ahead, Al.
dude. Yeah, Oaklandish is like they're like they originally were like, yeah, you just tell us how much money you raise, you know, a few days before the game, and we'll print that many. And now Oaklandish is like, all right, well, we need to know now because we need to like order these
Yeah.
shirts from the distributors and like all this stuff, man. They told the 68s Jorge Leon he's the man, right? So they talked to Jorge,
Yeah.
and they were like, you know, we'll give you a couple boxes of the Cell shirts, and we did that for the first game that we were back after that announcement. And there's all those pictures that media took that day of everybody wearing those Cell shirts, and that was like 2 boxes. And they told Jorge like, oh, we can give you like 4 or 5 more boxes for the June 13th game. If you want any more, you'll have to pay for them, but we'll do it at cost. And so Jorge's like, yeah, we could get like a couple hundred more. I was like, let's do this. Let's actually figure out how much money per shirt it is, and like let's blast this out. And so he talked to Oaklandish. They were like, oh yeah, it's like probably be about $5 a shirt. And we're like, can we say it's you? Can we to explain that? They're like, yeah, sure. But Oaklandish was like, we don't want you to sell it because we're going to make these at cost. So we're not selling them. Like, and we don't want, to like send them off to people, because then people just wear, like, we want, if we're going to do this at cost, we want to make sure that people in the stadium are wearing it. Right.
Yes.
And so like, don't sell them, only give them away at the game. And so,
Yeah.
I think a couple days before then, some kid had bought a ticket at Yankee Stadium when the A's were playing the Yankees. He like bought a ticket right behind home plate for like $800 or like $700. And he's like right out of college, like a journalism student or something, so he's not like making a lot of money. So so he's sitting there behind home plate, and he made his own Cell shirt with a Cell shirt. And he at the like in the 6th inning, like I saw it, I took a picture, and it went like like hundreds of people were liking it on Twitter. He DMs me, he goes, hey, I'm the guy sitting behind home plate. I probably shouldn't have bought that ticket. Like, here's my Venmo if you want to drop it. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I dropped that. And then like 2 hours later, he texts me back. He's like, dude, he's like, that's it. Like I'm like donating the rest to charity. Like I already raised the entire price of the seat. Wow. And so I told Jorge, I'm like, A's fans will donate money. Like, let's do this. So we posted this thing for the shirt. I was like, hey, I'm donating $100. That's 20 shirts. Who else wants to donate? And like 30 minutes later, like it hadn't really gotten that much traction. Jorge texts me. He goes, it's been like 35 minutes. He's like, we already have $350 in donations. I'm like, well, fuck, 100 of that's me. Right? Like that's not that much. And then and I was like, okay, well, hopefully this will be all right. But then it just started picking up. And after 3 days, we had like $12,000. And I'd originally said our goal is 25,000. And Jorge said like Oaklandish like laughed at him. They're like, okay, 25 grand, sure, whatever, dude. But we did that. And then about like, like 5 days or 6 days ago, Casey Pratt like retweeted it. And after like by 3 hours after Casey retweeted it, we'd already blown past 25,000. So now we're, we raised another probably 3,000 or 4,000 in the last 12 hours, just since it looks like, we were worried that by June 13th, it would have been a moot point and it was just going to be a funeral. But now it's going to be a fight. And so I know people are really excited.
Definitely. Gabe, what are your thoughts on the Cell shirt and the giveaway to fans, that this is the very first fan created giveaway at any professional sporting event.
I just think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty amazing the fact that, everyone will say, we got no fans, and yet we just, all of us together pretty much did all of this. Like we're doing it. Like, the goal was 25,000, and like Hal just said, like we're past that now. Like we're past that goal, and even it just like it's crazy to think that fans are the ones that are doing this, and we're trying to start this because we do love this team, we care about this team, and not only are A's fans like donating to it, but there's other fans out there as well. Like there's other teams or fans from other teams that are out there donating into as well. Like on my YouTube channel, like I dropped a couple links, and a lot of people were messaging me saying like, where do I donate? Like how can I donate? And I put it in my YouTube, I put it on my social media, I put it on my little community thing on the on my YouTube. Like I gave them links, sent them the link, everything. And there's people out there that really care about this team, and even if they're not A's fans itself, they're baseball fans at heart, and they see how much this team means to a lot of us fans. And it's crazy to me. I still can't believe like we're doing it. Like we're literally doing this. Like it's crazy. I have no words for it, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel where both of you are coming from. I've been coming to the Coliseum since 1982. I saw Ricky Henderson steal 3 bases in my very first game at the Oakland Coliseum, and I've been hooked ever since. I can't fathom this team leaving. I already lost 2 other teams. Yeah, the Warriors only went 20 minutes across the bridge, but they still left my city of Oakland, born and raised, and spent most of my life. Raiders left. I stopped following them. I don't want the A's to leave, because if they do leave, I wash my hands as I did the Raiders. Even the Warriors, I wash my hands, but I'm slowly coming back because honestly, there's really nothing back here for me. I love the fact that we have soccer in Oakland. I'm not a big soccer fan, but you know what? I'm going to have to come out and support and catch a couple of games and see what they're talking about with the soul and the roots. But my 3 main sports, baseball, basketball, and football, all of them are on the verge. 2 of them are gone, and 1 is on the verge of being ripped out. And it's just one of those things where you're just kind of like, what do I do? Where do I go? I'm not jumping to San Francisco. I'm not following the Giants. I'm not following that football team in Santa Clara. I just won't do it. That's not me. I just watch sports. Before, I was all about the Raiders. I was all about the A's. Ever since all this stuff came out, I've opened up. Football, I'm watching the whole league. Baseball, the last month, I've actually started watching other teams instead of just being rooted in Oakland and sticking with the A's. I've just been watching baseball, period. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm loving the game a lot more, and it's making me stronger to fight to keep our team rooted in Oakland, because we don't deserve our team to be rooted like this. Gabe, Hal, you guys both know the real reason why fans are not showing up to these games.
Yeah.
It is our owner. He puts a horrible product on the field. Now, I don't want to knock the guys playing, because we support them like hell. We love them. We want them to play, but a lot of these guys don't belong in the majors right now because they still need to develop. But the A's will go and trade off our top talent like Ole, like Chappie, let Simeon go, let Canna go, let popular guys that are homegrown, been here since day one go. But we get nothing really in return. We get some hot prospects, but when they get put in the majors a little too soon, they get racked by these other teams. Then we look like fools because there go the A's again, trading off their major players when they could be re-signing them. Fisher has the money to sign Ole to a 7-year deal like he got in Atlanta. Murphy, Bassett, we got these guys.
Marcus
The biggest
Simeon.
one, yes, Marcus Simeon. The biggest one that still haunts me to this day is Yoenis Cespedes. That one still hurts me to this day because that was my dude. He has tossed up so many baseballs in the few years he's been here, signing them for me. I throw him a pen, he'd sign it and throw it back. I was giving them to little kids near me because they couldn't get to him, but going out there to see him and know who he was and talking with him throughout the games and the seasons, he would just come in kind of like how Ramon does for Sandlot. He just throws him shit up there just for the hell of it because that's his boy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how it was with Cespedes. He would see me, he would point, he would start throwing baseballs up to me, and lo and behold, you look at the baseballs, these fucking things were autographed already. So it's
Right.
like, holy shit. So I just start handing them out to little kids. And you know what? How you know this? You make a little kid's day when you put a smile on their face with being inside the confines of the Oakland Coliseum.
That's right. And you know, I think that's honestly the part. I mean, there's sort of two parts, but that's the part that I think is most motivating to a lot of people is, you know, realizing that they're not going to have a place to bring their kid, you know, to a major league sporting event, and, you know, be able to yell their city. There won't be a place where you're going to a major league sporting event and be able to say, let's go Oakland. And you want to do that with a kid, right? Like we all remember like going to sports as little kids and
growing up with that.
It was just a magical experience. The time, you know, like the place it's not a place you normally go. You know, whenever you get off a highway exit or get off a train or whatever, you're just like, oh, this is it. This is the greatest place. And it's just infuriating that Dave and John Fisher are doing this,
Ripping it away.
when Oakland is willing to work with them. You know, it's not like the Raiders. The Raiders were like, hey, Vegas is going to give us $750 million to build this stadium, and Oakland was like, you take that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Understandably so. That was probably a really stupid thing for Nevada to do, but they did it, right? But like here, it's Oakland is still willing to work with them to figure this out, and there's still plenty of time to figure this out before January. And I had a very strange privilege and pleasure of being able to walk around the Coliseum and be recognized and have people that I didn't know come up to me and be excited to see me and to say, hey, what's up, Hal? You know, like from across the, you know, and it's so cool. It's like, it's a really cool feeling to do that. And I had no idea that was going to happen. But if you're a billionaire and you own a team, like just be nice to the fans. Like, you know, if it costs them $80 million more.
Real quick, without the fans, you're not nothing. Your team is nothing. If you don't have fans that are going to be with you the good times and the bad times, you ain't got shit. Because if your owner is such a greedy, you know, money whore, let's just call it like it is. I mean, he's hoarding money and not spending money and providing for this team, because you guys have been out there in the trenches with this team for years upon years, through the good times and the bad times. And no matter what, you still support this baseball team, you know, and I get it. I mean, at this point, you're thinking that, oh, even if these guys, you know, come up and they're making progress, just like the other guys did that became stars. And I get it. If these guys make progress and they become up into the majors and they're making moves and getting better at pitches and hitting and playing defense and stuff, you're worried that Fisher and Dave is going to pull the rug from out underneath these guys again, because that's the last thing you guys need to do is to suffer through a bunch of crap, because you've seen enough and you're tired of it. And honestly, even though myself and Joey are not Oakland fans, we are fans of the fans, because the fans deserve to have a team in their city that they can go to at a ballpark, at a stadium, and support and chant, let's go Oakland. I mean, come on. Like you said, Hal, that is the greatest feeling in the world. Like, you know, going to a sporting event and cheering on your team. You're repping your team's colors. You're there with your brothers and your sisters and the kids, and you're cheering in unison. Let's go Oakland. You're there supporting the team. You live by the team and you will die by the team. And if it's a fight that you guys are going to fight, you guys are going to fight a hell of a fight to keep this team in California, because there is no reason whatsoever why Fisher and Kaval can have a stadium in California, even though the stadium they've been at is old as dirt, but they can move to another ballpark in California where it's more cleaner.
10
where it's
minutes
more
down the
nicer.
freeway.
Exactly.
10
But-
minutes down the freeway.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
continue. This is
Yeah.
great. This is awesome. Continue.
No, well, no, I want to jump in real quick, and I want to introduce Bauce, man, co-host of A's Fan Radio, 20 years. Bauce, man, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Just hopping in the car, going to AAU practice. I'm a coach. I coach basketball, so I'm always on the move. How's everybody doing?
Doing good, man. How's it going?
Doing
Oh,
good, brother. I want to get you caught up. I want to know, how did you feel on April 20th when the news broke that the A's had a binding agreement for land in Las Vegas?
I'll just say this: I wasn't shocked. I mean, if you go back to April of 2021, when Dave Kaval had that damn tweet when he was at the Vegas Knights game,
Cup. Yes.
yeah, or whatever, and hyping it up and being very disrespectful to the people out here, because a bunch of us in the Bay Area, I'm not the biggest hockey guy out there, but if I do root for somebody, I'm rooting for the Sharks, and we don't like no damn Vegas Knights. So for you to hype it up and be all extra about it, demonstrative, if you will, with your tweets, it was embarrassing, and it was a slap in the face. So I expected that, because I seen how they were moving, and I got the privilege of knowing some people in the city and knowing some people like Bleacher Dave, with the people in West Oakland who were privy to a lot of talks. They kept moving the goalposts. So when they did this, I wasn't surprised, but I was mad. I was more mad for the diehard people who go to the Coliseum, night in and night out, especially those people in right field and the folks in left field who drum their hearts out, yell their hearts out, and the little kids. I felt bad for them because something's being ripped away from. This is an identity badge of Oakland in the East Bay that's being ripped away for what? For a greedy, spoiled, petulant child who can't get his way, who couldn't get a free stadium, or a guy like Dave Kaval who throws it up in people's face that he's from Stanford, that he's so smart, that he's so great. I mean, for that, nah, man. That's why I have not been to the Coliseum in a few years, just because I'm tired of seeing the people I love, that I respect. I learned so much at that damn Coliseum in my life, because the A's were the first sporting event I went to as a little boy in the 80s. So that's my thing right there. Just going there 30, 40 times a year, whether we stink or not, going there, and that's being ripped away. And I'm seeing these people fight so hard and being disrespected after Kaval had meeting after meeting with people such as myself, and probably some of you guys as well, claiming that he wanted to be in Oakland so bad, that he wanted to do this, he wanted to do that. And I see why Chris Pratt and all these other guys, like Chris Giles, excuse me, and other people left the organization, because they saw this guy was full of shit. So I feel the same way. Everybody saw through him after a while. I was done with him really in 2019, because I'm like, something's not right here. You got saying this, you get the Coliseum land, and then you get the Howard Terminal. You're trying to do a 2-for-1 deal. So you basically are having us pay you for the stadium that's going to be done at Howard Terminal. You're going to use the funds here. Then you say it's not. So you're being wishy-washy. And as one council person told me, actually Lynette McElhaney, the one who lost to Carol Fife in District 3, she said Dave Kaval talks out of both sides of his neck. You're going to see what I'm talking about. So when it happened, I was just not shocked, but I am disappointed, because why should we have to go through this? Why should we have to? We're not even talking, the team is terrible. We're not even talking about baseball. We're talking about where's the team going to play at. We're talking about finances and all this stuff. No disrespect to Hal. I'm not a financial whiz or nothing like that. But we're talking about stuff that's above our head, because we really love and respect this this tradition that's been born here in the East Bay. I mean, my dad remembers the first game that was played at the Coliseum. He used to be in the right field. It was called Reggie's Regiments over in right field. My dad is a part of that, and it got passed down to me. And I passed it down to my daughter. I've taken her to games. She's 14 now, and she's like, Dad, why do you still even pay attention to them? They don't want to be here. That's what my kid is saying to me. So this stuff is just way over the top. It's a slap in the face. It's just disrespectful, man. So why should I support you? Why should I support guys like that who give a bad product, who openly lie to people, and who are courting Las Vegas. I mean, Chantel, I mean, she's a good friend of mine. She's got to talk to John Fisher, but other council people and even other county supervisors have never talked to John Fisher in their life. Never talked to John Fisher. This guy to do a deal and take taxpayers' money and, you know, take away stuff from the port, even though I support Howard Terminal, but you can't even talk to the elected officials. What's that about? What is it about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man, because Fisher hasn't even met half of the people you would think he would need to make this deal and get this deal done. He hides behind Kaval. Kaval comes out and tells you he's from Stanford 20 times a day and lies about everything. Then he wants to turn around and have these goofy expressions on his face. And every single picture I've seen him in Las Vegas, he looks nervous. He looks goofy. He looks bewildered. He looks like he doesn't know what's going on.
He looks scared.
But it's come to, it's come to the point where we, the fans, are tired. Like I was telling everybody else, boss, the reason why fans are not showing up to these games is John Fisher. He's cheap. He's trading away our players. He's not bringing in quality players. He's not allowing young talent to develop in the minor league system before you bring them up, because you can ruin a man's career bringing them up too fast. Yeah, everybody wants to play in the major leagues, but you got to go through your steps and your path to become great and get your job done and be to where you want to be in the league. The problem is,
I agree.
Yeah. So we need Fisher out. You got something, Gabe?
No, I was gonna say, it kind of goes off a tiny bit, but you know, I've done a couple seasons where I've done like, you know, 50 games, 60 games, like even 70 game seasons. And usually at the end of the season, it's kind of like, you know, I'm kind of burnt out. And that's why I don't really post anything from like, you know, October on. But like, as of at this point in this moment in time, I feel like I'm already burnt out. Like that's how bad, like, I guess it is as a fan. I mean, I don't know if I can speak for other fans here, but like for me, like I'm more stressed out about where, like you said, where they're playing at in the next couple of years rather than what's happening on the field right now. Like right now I have it playing in the background, but don't tell me what who scored who, because I don't know what's happening. I haven't really been paying attention to the road games. Like I know they said that they've lost like, you know, a couple of games in a row now on the road, like straight consecutively, but I don't even know what that number is. Like I just know that we're terrible, and that's how disconnected I feel as a fan because of how badly he's made it. Like, you know, he's made this like the worst experience as a fan ever. And I mean, for me, all my focus is like what we do is for June 13th, and like what are the things we can do to, like, you know, make this, I guess, bearable at this point, because it's pretty bad for how he's made this.
12-50 in 62 games. I think we were the quickest team to 50 losses in the start of the season.
It's the worst baseball record since the before the 1900s. Like that is just crazy.
1932 Boston Red Sox.
Oh God.
Good God.
And the worst, I think, like, the add-on to that, I mean, like, you know, not too long ago, they had the smallest crowd since 1979. Like, you know, to be there and just witness what the atmosphere was like about that was it's pretty depressing. And you know, that video, I made a video about that on that day, and people, you know, a lot of people saw it, and it has over 2,700 views, 100,000 views. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who are seeing this now and they're getting their eyes on it, and they're just like, wow, why is nobody there? Well, let's take you down a little memory lane. Let's show you why nobody's coming here. Let's tell you the reason why. So a lot of people are getting their eyes open from, you know, seeing that video now.
I would say it's funny that like 100 times more people saw your video than went to the game.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's funny because we're hoping for at least 20,000 people to be out on a Tuesday night where there's only 2,000 or less people on a typical Tuesday night for this reverse boycott pack the Coliseum. And it's going to be insane to hear all the Fisher out, sell the team chants going on throughout the game. And I wanted to go through Tampa Bay's feed so they hear it like Houston would hear our drums. Houston complained so much about the right field drums. It's ridiculous, where everybody else in the league thought it was cool, but Houston hated it. But right now, there's a handful of people in Houston that are backing us up and giving us a little bit of love because of this, because no sports team should be going through an owner cheap like this. That's a cheapskate and just trying to rip a team out. He's neglected the Coliseum. Angels, Anaheim Stadium is just as old as the Coliseum. And I was down there right before the pandemic, and I went to a game, and that place was beautiful. They renovated it nicely. The A's could have done that here. The Raiders are gone. This is your place 100%.
Right.
You can redo this and make it yours. Why haven't we done anything? They've added the tree house. They've added the Stomper playground. Okay, cool. But that's not enough. They added the theater. They added, the terrace. It's not enough. Those are just sections that are overly priced, in my opinion, for you to go sit in. Who wants to sit in a theater seat for $200 a game? When that seat, if it was just a regular seat, would only be $40.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's insane.
You know, what's crazy too is with how bad they are, and this entire saga of trying to get the stadium is it. I don't want to say that they've that they've intentionally done this, but if you look back at when the Seattle Mariners got their new stadium, it was like, I think it was in 1994. And that year it was on a ballot. And that year the Mariners went to the playoffs for the first season. You know, it was with A-Rod and Ken Griffey Jr. and all those Randy Johnson, all those greats. And they made the playoffs for the first time that year, and they beat the Yankees in the first round. And at the same time, they actually lost the the referendum by like a fraction of a percent. But like, people were so excited about it that the Washington state legislature created a special session to pass the funding anyway, right after that. Because the people realized the pride of having that team there and the fun of having that team there. But the A's have just decided, let's make it as miserable as possible to be an A's fan. Like, just as miserable as possible.
Yeah.
And you know, of course nobody was standing up, there wasn't tons of people standing up to the city council. If they had spent money on the team, if they weren't such a laughing stock, if people supported the ownership, they could have gotten tons and tons of pressure put on the city to get something done. But they just were like, we don't care. We don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, you're 100% right, Hal. I mean, people really got behind that thing, and they made the playoffs a couple of more times after, I think, 97 and then 2000 and then I think 2001, and luckily they made it for the first time a long time last season. But it's a rallying thing. It's something that we all can come together on. I mean, it doesn't matter what your ethnicity is or what socioeconomic background you come from. You find a common ground in your city. I mean, I've met so many people at the Coliseum who might not share musical interests. Hell, some people have a whole different alternative viewpoint in life, but we come and congregate there for a few hours, and we find something that we all can agree on, and it kind of builds something of community. It's bigger than just the game sometimes. It's so fun when you're in that lot and you're tailgating, you're having shots of people. Sometimes you're rolling up a big fat one from across the street over there at Blunts and More. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all of those things you can do at these sporting events. So it's just bigger than just the game. Because when I see guys like, what's the guy, Hyphy, Republic or whatever, Omar Yasin, when he comes there and bashes sports fans, you just don't get it, man. And plus, people come from outside of your city. I mean, I tell politicians all the time, you have a responsibility on helping the people that are in your city, but you have to attract people to come from out of the city, to come in there and spend their tax dollars and to experience your city. This is a part of what you have to offer. You have to have things for the nerds, for the Star Wars guys, for the intellectuals, for the artsy people, and then for the sports fans. That's what you're supposed to do if you're a major city. And if you're a major city that does not have sports, then you're not a major city. Look at all the big markets in the United States. If you go on the Nielsen or whatever that thing, the TV rankings or whatever, the markets, you see all these top 25 places. They all have multiple sports teams for the most part. And you're telling me now Oakland is going to have maybe zero? That's unacceptable. So you can't expect us, people who understand the game bigger than just, the score or runs or whatever, you can't expect us to be satisfied with this stuff. It's just it's just so disrespectful, and it's great because you see guys like Hal at certain events, and then, shout out to you, Gabe, because I've been watching your videos for a few years, and you do a magnificent job. And when you run into those guys in the Coliseum, just even if you just talk to them for a minute, it gives you a good feeling like, hey, I know that guy. I might have a beer with them. I might just chop it up in for 2 seconds. That's a community vibe that you get in there. Because sometimes I've met people from the Coliseum, and I might see them off BART, and we can start chopping it up and have a good little BART ride. All right, see you later. I'll see you at the next game. Friendships are forged with it. Hell, I know people who've gotten married from these sport events, especially at the A's games. Like, what's my guy, James, who sits next to right field Will. He's gotten married at the game. There's special moments that are priceless, that are forged at that place. And so for somebody to rip it away from people, I just can't understand it. Anybody who thinks it's okay to lose another sports entity in Oakland, you must not love Oakland if you are down with this. You just don't love Oakland.
Right, because that's the beauty of sports, is that it brings strangers together because they are there under one roof, under one game. It's not just about the game. It's about forging, a brotherhood and sisterhood with your fellow comrades and the fans at these games. Because when you come together under, not just the team, but because you're supporting what you love. And it doesn't matter what race you are, what religion you believe in. If you don't believe in religion, if you do, you don't. Doesn't matter what music you like you said, Bauce. Sports is one of the most beautiful things in the world because it's a community that brings people that have never met each other together to be supportive of not just one another, but the team that they come to support at these games. And this is a beautiful, by you guys, because you guys are speaking absolute facts. Because also for us, we are not down with this because this is all over greed. All over greed, 110%.
Hey, Steven, I got to step in real quick. Hey, guys, sorry, I got to go step into work, but Bauce, Hal, Gabriel, thank you guys for joining me. You guys can keep the conversation going if you need to, but I will see you guys out at the next homestand. We'll catch a beer. I want to buy each and one of you guys a beer when I see you. Thank you for coming on and joining me. I don't drink. All good, my man. Whatever works. I understand. No cap, no harm, no foul.
I'll take his beer.
You guys a drink. All good, man.
Or you can get a Hal, whichever one.
I will catch up with you guys. And I reached out to the Oakland 68s to help spread the sell shirts out there and get that going. So thank you guys. I got to drop off, but you guys can keep the conversation going for the rest of the show. God bless you, and I'll see y'all soon. Steven, Joseph, love you boys. Catch up.
Love you too, bro. Man. Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, HiJacker. Thanks for coming on, man.
Got you guys, man. Take it easy.
Yep.
Yeah, bro.
And that was HiJacker Mike joining us here on the sports show. And I mean, this has been an unbelievable last hour plus. I mean, with you guys coming on here and being passionate about what you love, and that is the Oakland Athletics baseball team. I mean, this would be the most greediest thing that I can remember in sports if this were to happen, because this is a bunch of lies. This is corruption at its worst. I mean, for Kaval and for Fisher to lie to you guys and saying, oh, we want to be in Oakland, we want to be in California, it's a bunch of bullshit. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you that there are some team franchises out there who will give the fans what they want, ones who will actually be there for their teams and actually act like true leaders. But then you got these other team owners, GMs out there who are absolute pieces of dog crap flying around in the wind. I mean, Oakland, for example. I mean, the fact that this guy has absolutely lied to y'all and said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna stay in Oakland. Ain't nothing gonna take us away from this amazing place." But all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of money involved, and he's like, "Ooh, money? Who cares about this team? Who cares about this spot? Let's go where the money is." I mean, it just goes to show you that there are some team owners out there who are absolute cancers, absolute poison to a team's franchise. I mean, me being a Washington Commanders fan, I know exactly where you guys are coming from because I had to endure a poison named Dan Snyder since 1999. And now all of a sudden he's finally reached a deal to sell the team to Josh Harris. And I'm just like, praise the Lord. Heaven has finally opened. Daniel Snyder is no longer around. I don't need him around. Washington Commander fans have been wanting his butt out of DC since I don't know how long. And it's finally over, and I'm just like, yes, finally we can have a new beginning in Washington. And I'm looking forward to what Josh Harris can bring. But as far as Fisher and Campbell are concerned, I mean, I just have no words. I mean, they are absolute pieces of trash.
We saw like, I remember seeing news about, and I used to actually live in Washington, D.C., so I know about the deep hate that people have for Dan Snyder. But, I saw that New York, like a Times, or sorry, I saw the newspaper, in the newspaper that Snyder was gone and you guys had sold all of your season tickets or something, like in the like the 3 hours after that they announced he'd sold the team. And immediately you just think like, oh God, I want that for me. And I do have to get going here too, but here's what I'll say at the end is that Kaval said after moving, announcing that they're moving to Vegas, Kaval said, well, the big difference is there's like about 2 or 3 years we'll be able to build faster in Las Vegas. We'll be able to build it faster and you know what? That may be true because there's so much, there's so much cleanup needed at Howard Terminal, but that may be true. But if I know so many people, who have served hot dogs to so many people who've been A's fans their entire lives. And I know a lot of people who've been there, who were there for the first game 55 years ago. They've been there for the team for 55 years. And if you don't think that you owe those people an extra 2 years of waiting for a new stadium, like you were the one who they were the ones who picked the most difficult site, that requires so much longer to build. So if they can't give their fans those 2 years who've given them 55 years, like how big of a jerk you going to be? You're just a jerk.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just goes to show you, owners and GMs out there, they can be cancers, they can be poison, they can be whatever they want to be. As long as they poison a team's franchise and don't care anything about the players or the fans, all they care about is money. I mean, how much more greedy can you be?
And what's so sad is that you have Fisher and Kaval are trying to hide the fact that you guys are bringing signs at these games, and these fans are not backing down. They're protesting, showing their true passion for this team. And they're like, no, we're not. We can't show that because you're full of lies. You're full of corruption. You're deceitful. You're full of corruption, and it needs to stop. And I hope that just like with Washington, that you guys can get an owner that can get this team and stay in California, because this is the last thing that the city of Oakland needs is another team leaving Oakland and going to another city. Especially in the second team, real quick, going to Vegas. Continue, boss.
Oh, no. What's crazy is, I know Hal can back me up on this, is at Howard Terminal, they want to own the stadium but lease the land, I believe. But then when they picked the Wild West site, they wanted to own the land but lease the stadium to be a public stadium. So they kind of flip-flopping their words. They're talking about a development because, a lot of teams like this sports development and ancillary stuff so they can make more money. They don't care about the old way of tailgating from the 20th century. But
Right.
then you go to a 9-acre site at the busiest corner in the city of Las Vegas. It just doesn't any damn sense. There's no rhyme or reason.
Right.
That's why apparently you're seeing the special session agenda, because their thing is half baked. They just thought they can push things through. They thought they were popular like the NFL and they could just do what they want because they saw the the success, at least tickets wise. The Raiders fell, but it's calculated. They played this wrong. And actually, Shang Tao is actually looking like the winner here because she cut off negotiations, refused to be a pawn against leverage game, and now they're looking dumb. So what do they do at this point? I'm unsure if they're going to try to go to Nashville or talk to Montreal because revenue sharing is going to be cut off in January of 2024. So I'm confused on what their end game is.
They just got to suck up their pride.
Just did a. I mean, we all got to do it at some point in our life. But this reclusive man, John Fisher, who's born with a golden spoon in his mouth, is he really going to humble himself and say, "Hey, I didn't get what I want, but I can get something out the deal"? Or, as all of we've been saying for years, why don't you just sell? It doesn't seem like your heart is really into this because you're into the business. You're not in the baseball business. So if you're not in the baseball business, building a winner and building something for generations, why don't you get the hell out of here then? Why don't you sell the team, make $2 billion? You could save your gap stock because, shout out to Vitamin D, expose that, you use the team as collateral, you're leveraged to the hilt. Why don't you just sell so you can get it, man? Just do that, man. And guess what? I can be back at the Coliseum. I can be drinking beers and high-five and beating the damn Angels and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you just make it fun for somebody like what somebody just said? This is about the fans. And people always say, oh, they don't care about the fans. It's the fans that made this game what it was going back to the 1800s. Exactly. We are the backbone of sports. Okay? And guess what? Cities do matter. If they didn't matter, we'd be the Harlem Globetrotters or traveling bingo all-stars where there's no home, or no municipality that they play for. There's a reason why they play in cities. So since they play in this city, there's a certain expectation that we have, especially we have been in multiple World Series. I mean, I grew up seeing Mark McGwire and, Stu and Hindu and Ricky. I have an expectation, just like all of you guys. We also got to see some of the 2000s and even recently with Olsen and Chappie. We got expectations here. And if you cannot fulfill those expectations, give it to somebody who can. We're from a winning culture here in the Bay Area. I don't like the San Francisco teams, but they have one on that side of the Bay, just like we have one. So if the expectations are high, live up to them. If you can't, just get out the way. It's fine. It's okay. Everybody's not meant to be a winner. You're not a winner, John Fisher. Just go the hell on. We'll be fine. We'll survive without you. It's simple.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, guys, I gotta get going, but this was awesome. Thank you so much for highlighting. Thanks so much for highlighting the A's and calling out these bozos.
Gentlemen, it is nothing but our pleasures, and
it's been an honor.
This was awesome, having Mike on and you guys on, and you guys just talking about your passion for this team, and just trust me, the movement is strong. You guys are gonna fight to the very end, and I hope and I pray that you guys can keep this team in California.
Thanks so much, man.
Let's go.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right,
go.
Peace out.
Go Oakland.